Questions and answers. Why would a narcissist baby mother allow her adopted mother to pimp her out? Answer: that's a heavy and complex situation. Narcissism is a personality disorder characterized by a lack of empathy, a need for admiration, and a sense of entitlement. If a narcissistic individual allows harmful behavior, it might be due to a combination of factors like manipulation, control, or a distorted sense of self-worth. However, it's crucial to approach such situations with sensitivity and understanding, as they often involve deep psychological and emotional issues. If you or someone you know is in a harmful situation, seeking professional help from a therapist or counselor can provide support and guidance. It's important to prioritize safety and well-being. Signs you've been raised by a narcissistic mother. Therapist says Veronica Robinson, when you're growing up, it's normal for your parents to be an outsized presence in your life. After all, you rely on them not only for emotional safety but also for the very tools of your survival. However, as a child grows and gains independence, a healthy parent-child relationship will naturally shift into something more balanced. The parent will come to view their offspring as their own distinct person with valid needs, desires, and perspectives worthy of validation and support. Unfortunately, if you've been raised by a narcissistic mother, this is unlikely to have been your experience. Narcissism is largely defined by a person's lack of empathy, sense of grandiosity or superiority, and entitlement. That's why narcissists will usually put themselves at the center of the conversation whenever possible. They have a skill for turning every conversation back to themselves, even when the topic is about you. This can be especially difficult to contend with when the narcissist in question is your mother, since it undermines a genuine connection between you. If gently steering the conversation back to more neutral topics regularly seems to fail, seeing a family therapist may help you establish a more balanced dynamic. Narcissist's mother. They gaslight you. Gaslighting is another common symptom of narcissism. If your mother is a narcissist, she may deny or disregard your perception of reality, leading you to feel confused or disorientated. They never acknowledge your sense of reality, the psychotherapist says. They turn the situation around, making you doubt your own memories and feelings, and they insist that things happen differently than you can remember. They're your toughest critic. It's common within the parent-child relationship for both parties to feel criticized, but if you notice that your mother is always your toughest critic, there may be a deeper problem at play. Narcissists are masters at giving criticism, often harsh and personal, and they criticize you far more than they praise or support you. If you notice that your parent regularly tears you down, this is a major red flag, she warns. They create drama. All families have conflict, but if you notice your mother enjoying the drama, this may be a sign that she has narcissistic tendencies. They thrive on chaos and conflicts just to be at the center of attention or assert their dominance, Amini explains. A narcissistic mother may use inflammatory or exaggerated language, read into people's intentions, or become fixated on others' failures or transgressions, all in an effort to turn up the intensity in the relationship or cast themselves in the role of victim. If you see this happening often, it could be a sign that your mother has narcissistic traits. Narcissists, they make you strive for their approval. They use love as a weapon, offering it as a reward for compliance and withdrawing it as a punishment, making their approval something you feel you have to earn time and time again. If you notice this particular trait, it's important to take a step back and give yourself your own unconditional approval. Focus on your strengths, be proud of your achievements big and small, and give yourself grace when you find yourself struggling. Though you can't always fix the broken dynamics in your relationships, you can protect your mental health by creating boundaries and practicing self-care. Talk to a therapist to learn more about how to heal the wounds of growing up with a narcissistic parent. Narcissistic parents sabotage their children. Here's how narcissists undermine their kids, including the golden child. Narcissistic parents may compulsively undercut their children, both intentionally and collaterally. Adultifying, infantilizing, and gaslighting are just a few of the common forms of sabotage narcissistic parents may engage in. Educating children about narcissism, trauma, and emotional literacy can help improve family dynamics for future generations. People with narcissistic personalities are often relational antagonists who compulsively undercut others to gain a sense of control and superiority. Even when they are shining an idealizing light on someone, it is a form of manipulation through flattery and praise which can turn on a dime into contempt. As a society, we don't like to admit that parents are capable of this behavior with their children, but the fact remains that parental abuse and neglect are part of the human condition, and narcissists are precisely the kind of people who hurt and traumatize others, particularly the most vulnerable. Interpreting narcissistic behavior. When interpreting narcissistic behavior, it is important to understand that narcissists exist in society and in families, and that they will learn to mask their jealousy, lack of empathy, selfish opportunism, and superiority complex in order to function socially. Although narcissistic parents, especially the covert type, may be quite skilled at concealing their cruelty and even signaling virtue to outsiders, they undermine their children as a matter of course in a multitude of ways. Narcissistic parents sabotage their kids. These are some common ways narcissistic parents undercut their children, which they do both intentionally and collaterally as a consequence of not caring about the damage they do. Reward compliance and punish dissent. Narcissistic parents reward compliance and conformity in their children through praise and privilege, and they punish free expression and differing opinions through judgment, rage, and rejection. Devalue their interests and strengths. Unless their children's interests and strengths reflect their own values or give them bragging rights, narcissistic parents ignore or actively malign their kids' passions. Pathologize their emotional responses. One of the most damaging aspects of narcissistic parenting is the narcissist's rage and resentment toward their children's normal dependency needs and emotional responses, which they typically frame as selfish, weak, and/or defiant. Normalize rage and shame. Profoundly traumatizing for children of narcissistic parents is living in an atmosphere of normalized rage and shame, which elicits long-term nervous system hyperactivation, interferes with healthy development, sets the stage for both acute and chronic health problems, and adds to generational trauma patterns. Play favorites and scapegoats. At the core of the narcissistic personality is a split between the ashamed and vulnerable interior self, which is usually kept repressed from consciousness, and the special, superior and entitled, exterior persona. As parents, narcissists typically project this inner duality onto their children, seeing one as an extension of their idealized self and another as an extension of their repressed shadow self. In homes with one child, that child may experience a roller coaster ride of idealizing and scapegoating. Alienate their relationships. Narcissistic parents engage in ongoing comparison, triangulation, and smear campaigns to alienate their children's relationships with the other parent, siblings, extended family, and social circle. With adult children, narcissistic parents may attempt to alienate their kids from their own children and spouse. Gaslight their sense of reality. Gaslighting takes many forms, but the purpose is to undermine other people's perceptions through lies and distortions. Narcissistic parents gaslight their kids to diminish their children's confidence and control what they think and feel. Adultify them. It is common for narcissistic parents to push their children into adult roles to meet their own needs. Exploited children may function as therapists, problem solvers, nurses, best friends, spouses, and the list goes on. Infantilize them. In contrast to adultifying, some narcissistic parents encourage dependency and helplessness in their children to maintain control, feel needed and superior, and get attention and sympathy from others. Bail them out of consequences. Narcissistic parents often coddle and bail out their favorite child, Ren, from consequences as an extension of their own sense of special entitlement and/or because it's easier for themselves. Abandon them in times of need. On the flip side of coddling, narcissistic parents may abandon their kids, even the golden child, in times of vulnerability and genuine need because they see it as weakness, don't care enough to be bothered to get involved, and/or enjoy their suffering. Don't teach them life skills. Unless teaching their kids makes them feel important, narcissistic parents neglect their children's need to learn life skills that will empower their growth, confidence, and independence. Adding insult to injury, they often harshly judge their children for their resulting difficulties with coping as teens and adults. Manipulate them financially. For most people, money represents survival, and narcissistic parents use it to control their children through gifts, payouts, and inheritance, which may be by turns dangled as a carrot, granted lavishly, or withheld. Narcissistic parents replace their children. People who are high in narcissism often struggle to connect with people in an emotionally healthy manner. Instead, they may surround themselves with people who can meet their needs in a least effort kind of way, on the part of the narcissist, that is. They may seem to need a supply of people who make them feel special and superior. Their narcissistic supply, as this is called, may also rely on people who can be manipulated in order to defend, and join in with, the narcissist's bad behavior towards others and who are prepared to put up with being badly treated themselves. Children can serve as a source of ready-made supply for a narcissistic parent who can shape and mold their child in the way they want, given the inherent power differentials in that relationship. In some cases, however, children of narcissists find themselves seemingly replaced in their parents' eyes. Often, they're replaced with a child of a similar age and gender, although they may find themselves replaced with a different type of person who replicates aspects of the parent-child relationship. The effects of being replaced in this way can feel deeply traumatic. The child is not only dealing with abandonment, they're also coping with being compared to someone else and being found wanting. They're being told, in essence, that they're not good enough to receive the love and attention that someone else is deserving of, even though they, as the parent's child, should presumably be the one person who automatically receives that love and attention. These children may go through life with a deep sense of shame, feeling that they are unlovable and worthless. They may find themselves replicating these relationships in adulthood by attracting romantic partners who confirm their feelings of defectiveness and worthlessness. Being replaced by a parent is one of the strongest messages a child can receive. Why do narcissists find surrogate children? This behavior may happen for a number of reasons. 1. They cannot handle complex relationships. Narcissists tend to be emotionally immature. As soon as a relationship becomes more emotionally complex, which often happens as a child transitions from adolescence to adulthood, the narcissistic parent may feel threatened. It might be easier for them to simply replace the emotionally complex person with someone who is easier for them to deal with. They are jealous of the child. Because of their own deep-rooted insecurities, narcissists tend to be deeply jealous of other people. At times, this can extend to their own children. If, rather than seeing the child as someone who can be used and manipulated, the parent sees them as someone who highlights their own deficiencies, they may choose to be around someone who is less of a threat. They want to look like a good parent. For narcissists, it's often all about appearances, and for some, looking like a good parent can be an important part of their identity. If, for some reason, their child is not making them look good, the child might find themselves replaced by someone who makes the parent look like a wonderful, caring person. They want to hurt their child. Narcissists tend to be both low in empathy and driven by a need to make themselves feel better, no matter the cost to others. Their feelings may be very easily hurt, and, because they are often emotionally immature, they may not be able to express their hurt in a direct, adult manner. Many resort to passive-aggressive means of expression. Replacing their child with someone else is an effective means of deliberately hurting them, perhaps, they feel, because the child has done something to hurt them. How children of narcissistic parents can cope. If you have been replaced by your parent in this way, you may still deeply feel the effects, no matter what age you are. Your self-esteem may be deeply affected. You may also experience feelings of anger, resentment, and regret. Being rejected and replaced can also lead you to, wrongly, assume that there was something so inherently wrong with you that your parent had no choice but to find someone better. In most cases, this couldn't be further from the truth. Your parents' rejection likely had nothing to do with you and was entirely driven by their own personality and behavior. You may need help in working through some of these issues. To find a therapist near you, visit the Psychology Today Therapy Directory. Please share, 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 subscribe, subscribe, subscribe and hit that bell.